he tells the judge, oh, this particular case supports my position, but judge, I didn't bring a copy of it with me. You don't do that. That's ridiculous. When you're a professional attorney, he has 8 other attorneys working for him, paid on the government's dime. You're paying for this. Yes, you. I don't care where you live at. These people are supported with federal COVID funds. That means me, that means you, that we are all paying for this circus. Imagine there's 8 attorneys sitting there and nobody, especially Nathan Wade, the lead guy, thought enough to bring the documents they need to give the court, which is normal procedure, normal protocol, so they can try to prove the position they're trying to put forth to the judge. This is madness. This is nuts. Hello to all my free-minded friends. J.R. Duke's back with you. We are going to get right into it today. We are talking about my friend here, Nathan Wade. There's a picture right here that is directly from his website that I'm providing just as a courtesy to see how handsome this young man is here. Folks, we are talking about the incompetence, the absolute incompetence of attorney Nathan Wade. It is absolutely unbelievable that an attorney that is a de facto ambulance chaser was appointed by Fani Willis, the district attorney of Fulton County, to prosecute one of the most important cases in our country's history, to essentially prosecute one of the most important cases right now in the history of just our country. This is extremely important, and she has clearly put somebody in charge as the prosecutor of this RICO case, someone that has no, and I mean no ability, no experience to handle a RICO case. Folks, these RICO cases were designed for gangsters. They were designed, these laws were passed and designed as heavy-handed tools to club, to bludgeon to death, really, these organizations that are just corrupt. That's what RICO stands for, racketeering. It's basically corrupt organizations. That's where they get the acronym for RICO. I believe it's a racketeering, internally corrupt organization, something like that. If you know of a different meaning for the acronym, please put it in the comments below. I always like to hear from my viewers. I appreciate each and every one of you, by the way. Folks, why this is important is it's further evidence of the scam that's being perpetrated by Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, and their associates on you, me, the taxpayers of Fulton County, and really the federal government, which is all of us, because apparently Fani Willis has taken money that was meant for COVID and has paid it to her lover, the prosecutor, Nathan Wade, paid it directly to him, and by proxy is enriching herself. This story has so many angles and so many different things to look at in order to get a complete picture. And that is all the more reason why I have been all over this story for us, because it has to be examined. Now, let's dive right into it. We have been in court with Nathan Wade. We are looking at the clear evidence that should have rang a bell with each and every attorney in the state of Georgia since this first happened. Right here is it's either the first or second time they were actually in court having a hearing in front of the judge pertaining to this RICO case. We're going to pick it up where we left off last time, but what I want you to pay attention to, and I will narrate it as we go through it, listen to what comes out of this guy's mouth. It is just unbelievable. So let's get right into it. Here we go.
Then let's move on to number 2. So obviously it looks like the idea of the entire report itself has been taken care of, but the motion goes a bit further than that, Mr. Wade, and it says that they want to be able to inspect the entire transcript, assuming there was one, I don't know, and any recordings and essentially anything that the special grand jury produced. So let me just obviously I'll let the defense present their motion.
Just a quick note. What's going on here is they have basically 3 motions that the judge is trying to work his way through. He's trying to go in an organized way, but the state, which is led by attorney Nathan Wade, the subject of today's video, keeps going out of order. And what's clear is these are matters they're discussing that are rather routine. They're normal. They should not have to be discussed. And basically, a couple of the defense attorneys are here saying, Judge, we need your help. The state of Georgia, under Nathan Wade and DA Fani Willis, has given us nothing. They're not allowing us access to witnesses. They're not allowing us to have information that will help us build a defense for our client. And this is information that is normally exchanged in the normal course of this type of prosecution, but they're not getting any cooperation from the state. So let's continue with the judge's question.
But let me first start with where the state is in terms of what you think of that is disclosable and discoverable. If the state's following its standard open file policy, just maybe give me a bit of background about that and what you think is fair game here.
Yes, sir. Basically, Judge, the state would contend that any and all transcripts that have been produced by the grand jury or the special purpose grand jury are not discovered, and that defense counsel should not have access to them. I know that the court wants to hear further argument in that after the defense has this opportunity to put their case on. But
okay, I want to make sure you understand this. What he just said is a lie. It's not true. A simple Google search between the difference of a special grand jury and a grand jury would show you the differences between the two. And what he just said is not true. Can you imagine that you have to put on a defense for yourself? You go to trial and you're not even permitted or able to see what the witness told the special grand jury? That would be wholly unfair, and it's not true. This man just said something that's not true. And of course, it shows he doesn't know what he's doing.
that's our position.
With the sole exception being Mr. Cheely's?
Given
Okay.
that Mr. Cheely is directly charged in count 41 of the indictment, that's the exception.
And what if some of these witnesses that testified you call as a witness at trial?
So, Judge, then we rely on actually the discovery statute that talks about that. We would say that at that point, when the state has made the decision to call one of the witnesses that has testified before the grand jury, at that point, the transcript becomes relevant and you turn it over.
All right, so we may have to talk some logistics, but we'll see where we end up. So, Mr. Grubman or Mr. Aurora, your motion.
Your Honor, I would just take exception with doing what they call Jenks material in federal court, where they give it to you at the last second, because we have to craft a defense based on people.
And that's what I was getting to. We'll get
so,
That's exactly what I just told each and every one of us here, is that what Attorney Nathan Wade just said is not true. It's just flat out false. You can't just throw material at the defense at the last second and say, oh, by the way, you'll need this for your trial today or your trial tomorrow. And that's what this defense attorney that you're seeing now is going to tell the court, and has basically already said that in his first opening sentence.
if we look at the litigation that happened before the special grand jury, it's 2022-EX-00024. I'd like to adopt the brief that was filed by the media companies asking for the release of all these transcripts, because they've got a lot of the law that I've cited, so we don't have to sort of go through all of it. OCGA 1512-101 lists out the requirements that a special grand jury needs to do. And that requirement includes interim reports that have to be presented to the judge as far as what their work is going on. I didn't know if there were transcripts, but apparently there are in this case, as what the prosecution says. We know that based on the report that was released, there were 75 witnesses that testified before the grand jury, which I'm imagining were all recorded. They've already told this court they're going to have 150 witnesses. So whether they choose to call those witnesses or not, I'm entitled to those transcripts to decide if we want to call them, if there's any impeachment material out there, inconsistent statements, or in fact, exculpatory material.
Okay, we're going to skip forward just a little bit because I want to get to the next point, which is Nathan Wade talking in open court so we can discuss it. Okay, so here is the other defense attorney that's going to put it straight and on the line and explain exactly what Nathan Wade and Associates are doing or not doing.
I think you joined this one, did you not?
I did, Your Honor, and I would join in all the arguments that Mr. Aurora has made.
Well, actually, I think maybe you formally didn't on the record, but if you want too early now,
I would
that's
join,
fine.
Your Honor,
Okay.
and the only thing I would add and echo from Mr. Aurora are the due process concerns that he's raised. The government has said they'll turn them over, but only turn them over after they call witnesses. That smacks of gamesmanship, and it would not be the efficient way to try this case. There is no real reason for the government. They have to disclose their witnesses to not disclose the transcripts of any witnesses that testify before that special purpose grand jury that is going to testify at the trial. Moreover, and I'll raise this at a later point in this hearing today, I do have some very grave concerns about the government's compliance with their Brady obligations. I have already submitted 2 Brady requests. I have not gotten even a response. I'd like the opportunity to raise that later, but I believe.
Okay, just so you know, a Brady obligation in the state of Georgia, just to put it in layman's terms, basically means that the state is required to turn over to the defense all evidence that they have, whether the evidence is against their defendant or whether the evidence shows their defendant or shows their client's innocence. The state has to turn it all over. And in the state of Georgia, that is called their Brady obligation, so you know what they're talking about.
Believe that there could be Brady information that is in those transcripts that they are obligated to turn over independent of any statutory discovery obligations.
All right, Mr. Wade.
Yes, sir.
Now, here's attorney Nathan Wade trying to get his thoughts together, and he'll eventually start speaking here in just a second. But listen to what he
Judge,
says.
I think we have started to put the cart before the horse, so to speak. Let's start with the premise that long-standing and unquestionable authority indicates that grand jury materials, including transcripts and records, are not available to criminal defendants because grand jury proceedings are considered to be confidential. And the state is relying upon Stinsky v. State there. And I have a copy here for the court and counsel, if I might approach, Judge.
Folks, it's clear he does not understand the difference in a grand jury and a special grand jury. He's just wrong on the facts, and the judge is going to be gentle with him.
So this Stinsky case, along with the Ruffin and the Isaac case, Judge, stands for the very same proposition, which is they're not.
You're going to find out later he's given the judge the wrong information. This is how.
Between these cases that are going to talk about grand jury proceedings and this having been a special grand jury that they're asking for?
There's no distinction, right?
And why not?
Well, for practical purposes, Judge, it's the same function with the exception of the charging element. The special purpose grand jury is an investigative tool. Investigative jury does not make charging decisions, but can make recommendations. A regular grand jury obviously passes down the indictment. So,
folks, this guy is just flat wrong. This attorney, Nathan Wade, he does not know what he's talking about. And you could probably tell by listening to the judge slowly question him that he does not know what he's talking about. There is a difference in the state of Georgia between a grand jury and a special grand jury. They call them a special purpose grand jury, to be exact. And the differences are there and they're clear. Think of it this way. If there wasn't a difference, why would they have different names? I mean, that's something you have to think about. Why does Nathan Wade not understand there's a difference? Because he does not practice criminal law. He has never been a prosecutor before, and he definitely has never handled any type of RICO case like this before. It is so embarrassing, and you can tell the judge is reaching. He's trying to find a way to, hey, what is going on here? How can I make this right without embarrassing this guy? How can I educate him or get a resolution on this if this guy is not understanding what's going on these procedures here? I mean, this is a complete embarrassment. And folks, I'm going to show you something here. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take a lot of effort to try to figure out the difference in a grand jury and a special grand jury. I went ahead and just did a real quick Google search in the state of Georgia here, and this is exactly what it says. What is the difference between a grand jury and a special grand jury in Georgia? Well, special grand juries are different from regular grand juries in that they are focused on a single topic, may be impaneled for longer, and most importantly, since this particular case they're citing, may not issue indictments. Instead, they issue something called a pre-settlement, which usually becomes public. So it tells you right there that in a special grand jury, they don't indict, but they do basically make a document, make findings, and these findings are usually made public. He does not understand this. This is 101 information, and attorney Nathan Wade does not have a clue. Listen, you have to come back and join me because I don't want to make this video too long, so we're going to do another follow-up episode, and we're going to pick it up right where we left off because you have to see what happens next. Nathan Wade continues to dig this hole deeper for himself. He clearly does not understand anything about special grand juries or grand juries. And as a matter of fact, he gives the judge cases that do not apply to what they're talking about. He tells the judge, oh, this particular case supports my position, but judge, I didn't bring a copy of it with me. You don't do that. That's ridiculous. When you're a professional attorney, he has 8 other attorneys working for him, paid on the government's dime. You're paying for this. Yes, you. I don't care where you live at. These people are supported with federal COVID funds. That means me, that means you, that we are all paying for this circus. Imagine there's 8 attorneys sitting there and nobody, especially Nathan Wade, the lead guy, thought enough to bring the documents they need to give the court, which is normal procedure, normal protocol, so they can try to prove the position they're trying to put forth to the judge. This is madness. This is not, I really can't believe it's on video. And guess what? I have seen nobody talk about this. I have not seen any legacy news media discuss what I'm discussing. This guy's a hack. He's a novice. He's an ambulance chaser. This is more evidence of the scheme between him and Fani Willis to enrich themselves, at least by proxy, as far as Fani Willis is concerned, and at the same time become famous in the history books forever because they want to be known as the folks that took out Donald Trump and denied me the ability to vote for the person we want to see as the next president of the United States. This is madness. This is corruption. This is why countries fail, why in history Rome fell, in part corruption. When you become corrupt, the society fails. And I have to keep exposing sunlight on this, and that's what I'm going to do. It's just that simple. My friends, there's a lot of misinformation that's going out there. There's a lot of people, even in our own comments, that are frankly indoctrinated. They're given the wrong information. They're having things spun, or at least they're given information, but not the full information. If you know somebody in your family, if you know a friend that's indoctrinated, I don't care who it is, send them a link. Go ahead and hit the share and send this to them and let them have an opportunity to see the truth. This is yet another piece of the puzzle that clearly shows the corruption of Fani Willis, of Nathan Wade in the Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney's Office. And it is sad and it has to stop. And I, for one, am going to do everything I can in my power to show everybody the truth, because as the Bible says, the truth shall set you free. Well, be sure to join me for the next video because we're going to pick it up right where we left off. Folks, always keep that mind free. Never give up. And until next time, I am J.R. Dukes.